This is Captain Bob, rounding up the troops and leading them into Boston. On the road again. And here we go, heading into Boston. And there we are, at the very top of the Alewife parking garage. Bobby had to park up there. Actually, there were no other parking spots. Heading into the subway station.
I wonder who's taking the picture.
I don't know. And there they go, coming down the escalator, heading down into the subway station. That guy in the very back there with the beard, he's the most wanted criminal by the FBI. That's why we took the picture. Seriously, we don't know who that guy was. I wish he would get out of our picture. Wow, that was a quick subway ride. We went down, got on the subway, and now we're coming up. Just to show you how crazy Bobby is, we came out of the subway, he ran across the street to the other side of the street and took this picture of Kim, me, and Jeffy. Of course, I think he wanted to take a picture of that girl that was standing next to me, but oh well. Here's Kim and the boys, in the front ground, and in the background is a historical site of Boston, which we don't remember which it is. And we're right in the middle of downtown Boston. This is what a person looks like after they're over at the harbor by the New England Aquarium, walk all around Boston trying to find where the John Hancock Tower is, and walks all the way back to find out the only way you can get there is by going on the subway, and that it would take you hours to walk to the building. This is a very old church. I think it's the Trinity Church, right near the John Hancock Tower. Yes, we finally found the subway station, and we finally got there. See? This is proof. That is the John Hancock Tower. All 60 stories of it. There's an elevator that goes up to the top that takes you 60 seconds to go up to the 60 flights. Did you ever wonder what it would be like to stand at the base of the John Hancock Tower and look straight up? Well, now you know. This is what the city of Boston looks like from 60 stories up. And here's the Charles, where Bobby used to go sailing. And here's another picture of Boston from the John Hancock. No, this is not an aerial shot of Boston from the airplane. Most people think this. This is an exhibit at the John Hancock Tower of the Revolutionary War, and this is supposedly what Boston looked like back in the Revolutionary War. Now you're asking, why in the world would you take a picture of this? I don't know. Bobby took the picture. Now there's a story behind this picture. We were shopping at Quincy Market, and we had bought some things, and we had a bag, and we went to the subway to go to, I think, the John Hancock Tower. And we sat down. Bobby saw this picture of Dirty Dancing. Bobby loves Dirty Dancing. And we also saw the picture of Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah. And Daryl Hannah had a mustache drawn on her. And Bobby put the bag down and was going to take the picture, and the train came. So we all got on the train, and as we were getting nestled in on the Green Line, it's a very crowded train, we're all standing up, and I look at Bobby and I say, "Where's your bag?" And he said, "Oh no!" So he got off at the next stop, and of course it was one of those stops on the subway where you just couldn't walk over, just take another entrance and walk over to the southbound side. If you were going northbound, you had to go back up to the street, cross the street, go back down, and then repay to get back on the subway, and then get the next trolley car, and take that trolley car to the next stop, go back up to the street, cross the street, go back down, pay another token to get on the subway, and then he could get the bag. Well, Kim and I continued on to the stop where we were going to meet Bobby, and we're sitting there and we're saying there is no way in the world that that bag will still be there but after he's had to do all of that. And so we're planning on, gee, well, how are we going to deal with Bobby, because he's going to be depressed all the rest of the day because he's lost all that stuff that we bought at Quincy Market. And Bobby walks off the train, and the bag was there. He had the bag. He got off the train, Brad, Jeff, Kim, and I.
This is a picture when we're on the Boston Harbor cruise. Some of the shoreline that can be seen from the boat. Here is Brad posing for a picture, having a good time on the boat. And you can see Jeff there in the background too. As you can probably tell by the expression on everyone's faces, I was the only one having a good time there. This is one of my attempts at taking colorful and interesting pictures. This is of the sunlight reflecting off of Boston Harbor. There's a picture of the Customs Tower. The harbor used to go right up to the front door there, but they have built and filled in all the land in between. Off to the left is what I believe is Longfellow's Wharf. Here's a picture of one of the cutest Fausts. Not too many cute ones, but there are a few. Hanging onto the chains, getting ready to go out into the harbor. This is a picture of the Navy Yard. They currently had I guess it's like an escort or a destroyer, a little boat, not too big, that they were working on there. This is a Delta airplane about ready to land at Logan Airport. Logan was completely built from hills in Boston that they just leveled and moved out into the water. So when you land there, you're literally landing. A face only a husband could love. This is Judy posing again. She always looks so beautiful when she poses while we're on our harbor cruise. This is a view of the side of the control tower. It's one of the highest towers in the world. They had to make it so high because of the fog from the water. This is from about 4 miles away. And like I said, the planes are literally landing on the water. The runway begins at the edge of the water, and it's completely surrounded like the state of Florida. I've heard that once out of every 6 seconds a plane is either landing or taking off at Logan. And these pictures are taken one right after another. As soon as the other plane was gone, this one was taken off. This is a bow shot of the water as we hit a wave from another boat. This is another one of my experimental shots. So we splash the water onto a nice, smooth, calm, mirror-like surface. Very little wind that day, at least at that point. The huge engines that were running this boat did this to the water behind us. This is one of the last light ships left in the world. They used to have these all over the place, decommissioned ships that would just anchor themselves and flash a light, warning other ships of a hazardous area. Now they use electronic buoys and everything. They don't need anyone there to keep them going. They're all computer controlled now. This is a view of Independence Island. It's been everything from a prison to a fortress. One of the many landmarks, historical landmarks left in the harbor. You know, if I really try, I can be very creative at times. This is the remains of the post that used to hold up here. In between Judy and my sister Kim is the infamous white bag. That's what I did all that running around Boston for. We had over $100 worth of stuff that we had collected that day in that bag. That's why I did all that running. This is at Quincy Market. Everyone's sitting down, except for, of course, Jeff. And this is the Customs Tower. At night, or actually at dusk, with it beginning to be lit up. It's one of the attempts at being creative that actually succeeded, I think. These are the Puppetones. There's some people back there making these puppets dance and sing to the music they were playing, and Brad and Jeff and Kim and Judy were just absolutely thrilled to death and very enthused about it. This is after a long day of Boston. We just sat there and for some reason found this to be very interesting.
Here are the Puppetones once again. We were watching the show, and Jeffy all of a sudden yells out, "They're not real!" And then one of the puppets starts yelling back at Jeffy, "Who said that?" And he says, "Hey, that kid in the red shirt!" And then they start yelling and screaming. The puppets start yelling and screaming at Jeffy, and Jeffy started laughing, and people started giving Brad and Jeff, and that's Brad putting some money into the box, and Jeff standing in the foreground. People from the audience didn't even know the kids, kept giving them money to put in that box there, and every time the two kids would do it, the puppets would start yelling at him again. It's like, "Hey, yeah, I like that kid!" Ah! And it was very enjoyable. Jeffy and Brad were laughing their heads off and couldn't contain themselves. They were having so much fun. And this is the only remains that we have of our trip to Riverside Park. We'd gone all the way across the state to go to this fabulous amusement park. Turned out it was run down, it was rainy, half the rides were closed, and coming on the way back we're all soaked clean through to the skin, and I decided to examine the inside of my eyeballs. And this is where the story starts to become a little sad. Here we are following Keith in their car, going back to the airport, getting ready to go home, because our vacation is now over. And here's one of our last glimpses of Boston as we're on the Mystic Tobin Bridge on 93, heading into Logan Airport. Brad and Jeff and Kim and Keith still in front of us.
And you wonder why they have metal detectors at the airport? You tell me.
One of the many wondrous sights that you find at the airport.
This guy actually wanted a tip from us carrying our bags. Can you believe that?
Aren't you glad they didn't let him on the plane? Here we are at the airport. Brad, Jeff, Kim, and Keith all looking at our plane as we check in. And it's just moments before we have to say goodbye.
And this is Kim and we think Jeff waving at the windows, and there's our wing. Pretty neat, huh? That's called high tech. But this is us taxiing away. And yes, even